11. Thenan situations. Sun Tzu said, Thearto for recognizes. Nin a variety soft ground. 1. Dispersive ground. 2. Facile ground. 3. Contentious ground. 4. Open ground. 5. Ground of intersecting highways. 6. Serious ground. 7. Difficult ground. 8. Hemmed-in ground. 9. Desperate ground. When a chieftain is fighting in his own territory, it is dispersive ground. When has penetrated into hostile territory, but to no great distance, it is facile ground. Ground the possession of which imports great advantage to either side is contentious ground. Ground in which each side has liberty of movement. Isopane ground. Ground which forms thiki to 3 contiguous states, so that the who occupies it first has missed off the empire. This command, I sa ground of intersecting highways. When an army has penetrated in tough heart of a hostile country, leaving a number of fortified city in its rear, it is serious ground, mountain forests, rugged steeps, marshes and fensal country. That is hard to traverse. This is difficult ground, ground which is reached through narrow gorges, and from which we can and retire by tortuous paths, so that a small number of the enemy would suffice to crush a large body of foremen. This is hemmed-in ground, ground in which we can unlibe save from destruction by fighting without delay, is desperate ground. On dispersive ground, therefore, fight not. On facile ground, halt not. On contentious ground, attack not. On open ground, do not trito block the enemy's way. On the ground of intersecting highways, join hands with your allies. On serious ground, gather and plunder. In difficult ground, keep steadily in the march. And hemmed-in ground, resort to stratagem. On desperate ground, fight. Those how are core called skillful leaders so fold new. How to drive a wedge between themes frontandrier to prevent cooperation between his large and small divisions, to hinder the good troops from rescuing the bad, the officers from rallying theirmen. When the enemy's men were united, the managed keep them in disorder. When it was to their advantage, they made a forward move. When otherwise, they stopped still. I fasted how to cope with agree thost off the enemy. An orderly arrayed in the point. Off marching to the attack. I should say, begin be seizing something which your opponent holds dear. Then will be amenable to your will. Rapidity is distancio for. Take advantage of the enemy's unreadiness Make your way by unexpected routes and attack and guarded spots. The following Guerra principles. Tobe observed. By an invading force. The further you penetrate into a country, the greater will be the solidarity of your troops, and thus the defenders will not prevail against you. Make forays in fertile a country in order to supply your army with food. Carefully studieth well-being of the ormen, and do not overtax them. Concentrate your energy and hoard your strength. Keep your army continualianth move and devise the unfathomable plans. Throw your soldiers into positions whence there is no escape, and they will prefer death to flight. If they will face death, there is nothing they may not achieve. Officer San Manalic will put forth their uttermost strength. Soldiers win in desperate straits. Lo said the Zensiofier. If there is not place of refuge, they will stand firm. If the are in hostile country, they will show a stubborn front. If there is no help for it, they will fight hard. Thus, without waiting to be marshaled, the soldiers will be constantly on the qui-vive. Without waiting to beast, they will do your will. Without restrictions, they will be faithful. Without giving orders, they can be trusted. Prohibit the king Gothamians, and do away with superstitious doubts. Then, until death itself comes, no calamity need be feared. I for soldiers are not overburdened with many. It is not because of thee have a distaste of forex. If their lives are no tundily long, it is not because of thee are disinclined to longevity. On the day thee are ordered out to battle, your soldiers may weep. Those sitting up bedewing their garments, and those laying down, letting the tears run down her cheeks. But let them one see brought to bay, and they will display Thekaragia Fakorake. The skillful tactician may be like an Eto Theshwaijan. Now Theshwajanisa, snake that is found in the Chung Mountains. Strike eat its head, and you will be tacked by its tail. Strike eat its tail, and you will be tacked by its shed. Strike eat its middle, and you will be tacked by head and tail both. A skeet if an army can be made. Toemita to Theshuai Jan. I should answer, yes. For the Manafwu. And the Manafwu her enemies. Yet, if the air crossing arriver, in the same boat, and are caught by a storm, they will come to each other as assistance. Just as the left hand helps the right. Hence it is not enough to put one's trust in the tethering off horses, and the burying off, chariot wheelsynth the ground, the principle in which to manage an army, isto set up on a standard of courage, which thou must reach. How to make Thebiest of both strong and weak. That is a question involving the proper use of ground. Thus the skillful general conducts his army, just as though he were a leading gasengleman by hand. It is the business of a general to be quiet and through censure reciprocity, partan just, and thus maintain order. He must be able to mystify his officersmen by false reports and appearances, and thus keep them in total ignorance by altering his arrangements and changing his plans. He keeps the enemy without definitive knowledge by shifting his camp and taking circuitous routes. He prevents the enemy from anticipating his purpose. At the critical moment, the leader of an army acts like Ionuho has climbed up a high tan thinks away, the ladder behind him. He carries his men deep into hostile territory before he shows she shan't. He burns his boats and breaks his cooking pots like a shepherd driving a flock of sheep. He drives his men this way and that, and nothing knows whither is going to muster hishest and bring it into danger. This may be termed the business of the general, that different measure suited to the need of variety of soft ground, the expediency of aggressive or defensive ethics, and the fundamental laws of humanature. These are things that must most certainly be studied when invading hostile territory. The general principles that penetrating deeply brings cohesion. Penetrating butertway means dispersion. When you leave your own country behind and take your army across neighborhood territory, you find yourself in critical ground. When there army and self-communication on all four sides, the ground is only off intersecting highways. When you penetrate deeply into a country, it is serious ground. When you penetrate a little way, it is facile ground. When you have the enemy's strongholds on your rear and narrow possess in front, it isham ding ground. When there is no place of refuge at all, it is desperate ground. Therefore, on dispersive ground, I would inspire my men with unity of purpose. On facile ground, I would see that there is close a connection between all parts of me army. On contentious ground, I would hurry up me rear. On open ground, I would keep a vigilante. On mide fences, on ground of intersecting highways, I would consolidate me alliances. On serious ground, I would try to ensure a continuous stream of supplies On difficult ground, I would keep pushing on. Along the road, and hemmed-in ground, I would block any way of retreat. On desperate ground, I would proclaim to my soldiers the hopelessness of saving their lives. For it is the soldier's disposition to offer an obstinate resistance when surrounded, to fight hard when he cannot help himself, and to obey promptly when has fallen into danger. We cannot enter into alliance with neighboring princes until we are acquainted with their designs. We are not fit to lead an army in the march unless we are familiar with the face of the country, its mountain sand forests, its spitful sand precipices, its marshes and swamps. We shall be unable to turn natural advantages to account unless flocal guides to be ignored of any one of the following 4 or 5 principles does not befit a warlike prince. When a warlike prince attacks a powerful state, his generalship shows itself in preventing the concentration of the enemy's forces. He overwhelms opponents and thoroughly are prevented from going against them. Hence, he does not strive wholly himself with and sundry, nor does he foster the power of other states. He carries out his own secret designs, keeping his antagonists in awe. Thus is able to capture their cities and overthrow their kingdoms, bestow rewards without regard to rule, issue orders without regard to previous arrangements, and you will be able to handle a whole army as though you had to do with beauty singleman. Confront your soldiers with the deed itself. Never let them know your design. When the outlook is bright, bring it before their eyes, but tell them nothing when the situation is gloomy. Place our army in dead liberal, and it will survive. Plunge it into desperate straits, and it will come off in safety. For it is precisely when a force has fallen into harm's way that escapable off striking a blow for victory. Success in warfare is gained by carefully accommodating ourselves to the enemy's purpose, by persistently hanging on the enemy's flank. We shall succeed in the long run in killing the commander-in-chief. This is called ability to accomplish a thing be sheer cunning. On the day that you take up your command, block the front of your passes, destroy the official to lies, and stop the passage of emissaries. Best turn in the council chamber so that you may control the situation. If the enemy sadorpin, you mistrution. Forestall your opponent by seizing what holds dear, and subtly contrive To time a highs a rivel in the ground. Walk in the path defined by rule. And accommodate yourself to the enemy. Until you can fight a decisive battle. First. Then. Exhibit the coina sofa maiden. Until thena midgivs you anapening. Afterwards. Emuloteth rapidity. Oh, for running hair. And it will be too late. For the inimido oppose you.